And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. Tonight, I actually have a very special guest. Matter of fact, I had the privilege and honor to be able to review his little short film and also to watch his short film called Pool Party. This is a part of the Mammoth Film Festival. I have Brandon Bernath with me. We're going to be talking about that. So let's go on ahead. Let's welcome Brandon to the show, and let's do it. And hey, Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to say my dog might bark during this interview. So
it's perfectly fine. I have a train coming over here on my end anyway. So it can go quiet all day long. But as soon as I start a podcast, that's whenever the train wants to come by.
Oh, you got a train. Right on. Yeah, train.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyways, man, I just want to say this. I enjoyed your film. I thought it was very entertaining. I laughed my ass off through the whole entire film. And then I watched it about 4 or 5 more times just to get the vibe of what's going on. Like, the thing that I liked about it was the fact of how relatable it was, in a sense, when you have a guy that is Danny Dynamite. And I just love the name of Danny Dynamite because of the fact he's just over the top. He's in love with this woman named Beverly. And he's like, look, after all the things I do for you, and look what I bought. And he bought like little small stuffed animals that you would like find like at the dollar store or something. I just laughed my ass off of that scene. Yeah. But my question is this: when it came down to the casting and stuff like that, how did you discover this was your Danny Dynamite that you wanted to choose?
Yeah, great question. So I was going to play Danny Dynamite, and so the whole Japanese element was a very small part of the film. It was just going to be this Japanese rockabilly band was just going to be playing at the end of the film. And Danny Dynamite was obviously going to be singing with them. So it was a small part. And during my casting, my research of trying to find a Japanese rockabilly band in LA, well, first it was like really hard. I was having a very hard time. So then I kind of like moved to Instagram, and I was going to find, my band on Instagram. And through the research, I found immediately like the most famous Japanese rockabilly guy in Japan. And that's Johnny, Dago. And I was just like, immediately it just like hit me. I was like, this is Danny Dynamite. Forget me. And I was like, whoa. Actually, that's really interesting. And then I kind of was like, well, it could be a bigger part, this Japanese element of the film. And I was like, oh my God, so much more interesting casting him than me. And again, I'm just trying to feed the story, trying to make the hottest choice. So anyway, I reached out to him and he was really down, really interested. He had never been to America before. He had a huge following in Japan, never been to America before. He was very excited. We would meet on Zoom once a week, and I would basically coach him through his like that major scene in the beginning of the film, because there's definitely this arc.
Right. And another thing too, right? And it's something that resembles like an Elvis kind of vibe to him. Also, to have like a little Johnny Bravo kind of.
Well, honestly, I was just trying to rip off John Waters' Crybaby. I mean,
what? That was my next thing I was going to say. It has a Crybaby kind of feel to it.
For sure. But then also that scene specifically was modeled after Ed Wood, Tim Burton's Ed Wood. There's a scene between Johnny Depp and oh my God,
I know what you're talking about. That's one of my favorite films too.
Her name right now, but she was in Sex and the City. Matthew Broderick.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Jessica Parker. Yeah. So there's a scene that I modeled pretty much right after. They're like in a fight, and she's throwing shit at him. And anyway, so there was that little hint at that movie as well in that scene.
Oh, nice. So another thing too is like the 7mm film that you go on ahead, because you said that you wanted this to be like a 70s kind of vibe, but also mixing with like a modern era, and it just works so well, man. Like you pull away, and it's actually a 7mm film, but still it looks like a grindhouse film at the same time, which I'm a huge fan of, like this grindhouse kind of feel as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I wanted to shoot multiple cameras. And that was my B camera. B-roll was the Super 8. And yeah, it really worked. It really worked. I wanted to maybe even use another camera as well, maybe shoot it even on Super 16. We didn't get there. Maybe I'll do that again at some point. But yeah, it just gives it something else, something different, something more dynamic, you know?
Right. And the thing that I liked the most, though, was the fact that, you know, you have him pissed off because his wife winds up breaking up with him again. And then he goes through this whole entire neighborhood and he's about to get carjacked.
Yep.
And I like how you have that little element of like, you know, what can go wrong now? I'm already having a crap day. So, and then all of a sudden he gets carjacked and then he winds up saying, okay, so you want to rob me? Okay, no problem. I'm just going to show you how crazy motherfucker I am.
Right.
And go ahead and do that. So that's what I thought from the context of it.
You know, like, listen, if we had a little bit more budget and this wasn't a short film, but a feature film, and we had more than 3 days to shoot it, I shot the whole thing in 3 days, by the way.
Oh,
but
nice.
I wanted him to light well, I'm not really trying to push cigarette smoke anymore. I used to be a big smoker. And luckily I've been able to quit. I haven't smoked a cigarette in 4 or 5 years. So I'm really proud of that, but I don't really like to show cigarette smoking unless it's essential in movies. However, I did really want to see, Danny like light his cigarette with a stick of dynamite, you know, that I really wanted to see that. You know, I think there's this one movie, Last Action Hero, you know, with Schwarzenegger, where I think he did that. It might have been. I think
he ended up taking. Matter of fact, I just reviewed that film like maybe last month.
It's a great movie,
scene by scene.
Yeah.
You're right. He takes the cigar, he lights up the fuse, and then he throws it.
That's
the dynamite.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wanted to do something like that just to show even, you know, how much more badass Danny did. That's why he's called Danny Dynamite, right? But yeah, unfortunately, 3 days, limited budget, can't get everything in there, you know.
But still, though, man,
I'm glad that you brought up that scene, man. That scene's actually happened to one of my friends. My friend is a very badass individual. And early in the 2000s, he was in Echo Park in his vintage car, and some guy tried to basically did exactly what you see in the movie. Opens the door, jumps in the car, but instead of brass knuckles, he had a gun. Put a gun to my friend's head and said, "Get the fuck out of the car," you know. And my friend is kind of crazy, and he did exactly what Danny Dynamite did. He just basically took this guy through a crazy car chase through Echo Park. And meanwhile, the guy is just the whole time just being like, you know, like, slow down, man, slow down. He's like, while he's holding a gun to his head, he's just like, slow down. He's like freaking out. And same thing happened, you know, like eventually my buddy steps on the brakes and the guy gets out of the car like in a daze. And he says that line, man, you know, SA, you crazy, but I like it.
Yeah.
But in real life, as he was saying that, he was putting the gun back into his pants as he's saying.
Gosh.
But for years, I mean, my friend, because that was his neighborhood, you know, Echo Park, he just got crazy street cred because he'd see that guy like, you know, around, and he got like, you know, nobody wanted to fuck with my buddy after that. He really was. You know?
It's like he's got respect. It's like, look, man, you don't want to mess with this dude. This dude is crazy.
Totally, dude. That wild. Yeah. And I was like, I gotta put that in this movie, you know.
But okay, so here's the thing. You have this little short film. I know that you want to make something bigger than this.
Oh yeah.
Because it seems like it wants to be a bigger in scale kind of thing instead of a smaller in scale kind of thing.
Know, when I'm telling people the plot line to the movie and I say how many actors and extras I have, you know, people are always just like, what? Like, what? That's a short film. Like, how are you able to get all that into 10 minutes or whatever? But yeah, you know, you're very right. You know, I love working with a big cast and crew.
But not only that, but though, I can imagine that this will be a bigger thing though, too, a bigger project that you want to actually do.
Definitely.
Because I can tell that passion's there for these characters and you want, basically you want to have these characters to have more like than what they actually do in a short film.
Totally. I mean, I'm in the process of writing a feature, you know, that's in this world. I wouldn't use all those characters. I think the Danny Dynamite character for sure will be in the future. But it's that world, you know, that kind of maximalism, that like almost cartoon, bigger than life kind of thing. And
that's like a cool world.
Sorry?
It has kind of like a cool world kind of thing.
I mean, well, minus the cartoons, but like a real cartoon. You know, I think you know, seeing Wes Anderson's last film, Asteroid City, it's just more and more of kind of what I mean, I don't want to do that, but what I dig is that he's living in the world of Disney in a way. It's Disney come to life, you know?
Right.
I want to even take it even, you know, I want to go even further with that kind of concept, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And another thing too that I thought that was funny was you have this woman has been breaking up with him over and over and over again to the point where they don't even believe her.
No,
So,
yeah, no, it's the joke around the community, like,
right.
again.
That's what I love about it. I love how this one calls up this person calls up this person, and then next thing you know, the whole neighborhood knows. And then also to this other guy who's not even in the neighborhood, who's sitting out in a limo, and he gets word of it. He goes, "Word? This is actually going to happen." And so they all throw a pool party, but then she's on the verge of trying to get him back again. And it was like, no, don't try and do that again because you've already been there.
Right.
So in a sense, it's a comedy, but it has so much layers that it wants to say and everything too, to the point it was like, well, this guy is bad for you. Why do you want to go back with him? You already know the same repetitiveness of what's going to happen.
Right.
But of course, you can't help but falling for the guy because even whenever he shows up with the band and everything, you can't help but like, okay, I want this to work out.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know what that has to say about my own. You know.
But I like it though. I mean, but that's what I've seen in that. But the comedy aspect of it lands, and then also too, I like how basically they're having that fight, and then you have the maids, you have the butler over there pretending that they're working on something when they're not. It is just hilarious.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I really love casting it, and I love all the characters. I hope that, like, even if you just see a character for a second, they have one line or two lines or whatever, you still get, it's still rich, their backstories or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I was just talking with one of the other actresses that had like one line, and I mean, it's so good. I'd love to just like build these characters out a little bit more. Or use some of the actors that I've already that I cast in this film and write some different kind of roles for them, which is what I plan to do.
Nice. I think that it will actually go well.
I'm really impressed with some of the people. I mean, all the people pretty much that I cast. I mean, everybody did a really great job. Really talented cast.
So my thing is this: like, so your passions and everything was basically a little bit of Wes Anderson mixed in with a little bit of everything else, even in your.
I mean, Tim Burton for sure is like my favorite director of all time. I think that, Wes is a huge influence for sure. Again, like, I think for me, I love larger than life characters. I love the aesthetic of it, of larger than life. And also there's something that I'm seeing in my head that I haven't seen before. And I'm just trying to follow that. But I mean, I'm a huge Kubrick fan. I feel like, let's say, even The Shining, of course, Clockwork Orange, these are bigger than life characters, and it's almost cartoonish in a way. It's just in that time period of the 60s or 70s or whatever. It's like whatever he had at his disposal. But I feel like it's inching there. I mean, I still see that as kind of cartoons, but a huge Kubrick fan, of course. And even Paul Thomas Anderson with Boogie Nights, I see those characters as like cartoonish in a way, and I love, he's a huge influence, his camera movements and everything like that. So it's the best. Those long shots, but anyway, yeah.
But I know that you had like a lot of supporting roles and everything in the past and things like that too. What got you into wanting from going to acting and doing these smaller roles to doing directing and everything? That's something I wanted to know about.
Well, yeah. So I grew up as a kid, going to auditions, being like a little bit of a kid actor, and started getting more serious as I got older. And I damn nearly cracked Hollywood as an actor when I was around 18, but I sort of like had to give it up because I went to college, and I chose college over acting, and which I really, also like growing up as a kid actor, I remember the auditions that I would send. I hated everything that I was sent. It was always like the same kind of stoner role or like some Disney characters or something, and I don't know. I just really didn't like a lot of the business. It's all I knew too. So anyway, I went to college and then I went to law school, and I only stayed for a year. They kicked me out, and I mean, I couldn't escape art. I wanted to, be a filmmaker, at that point.
Right.
I'd even attempted to like direct, act, produce when I was like 20. But anyway, it took me 10 years to shoot something. Trying to get back into acting, couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was having a huge, like, it was really hard to get back. I didn't have a reel. I didn't have the connections anymore that I had, 7 years earlier. So I just decided to, there's a longer story here, which I'm trying to like cut, but basically, I decided like, well, I guess I'll just make my own projects and act in them, which is how it started. And then basically, this musician, Pokey Lafarge, he became a friend of mine, and he was the first person who was like, I think you should direct. And so I directed a music video with him and another friend of mine, Keen McCrae, and that music video did very, very well. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta, keep doing this. And, as a kid too, or teenager, I always thought I was going to be a director, but I thought it was going to be like way later. Like I thought I was a super famous actor first and then be a director,
Right. Because you never know what life is going to throw at you. You never know, especially if you're writing your own stuff too. You're like, well, maybe I'm just going to go ahead and act in it. And then the next thing you know, someone's like, you know what, man, this thing inside and out. So why don't you just go on ahead and direct? Your characters.
Totally. I mean, it's funny. Like with that Danny Dynamite character, again, I would have acted in that, but it's just, I don't know. The universe was like, oh, this guy's got to be that guy. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it.
Fine. But yeah, man, I mean, I definitely like the vibe.
By the way, love acting, and I have not given that up. And I know for sure that, I actually just did some like little stuff as well. There's a film that's coming out. It's called Queen of Manhattan. That's supposed to come out. I did that film not that long ago. But yeah, I'd love to keep pursuing that.
That's good, man. I mean, like I said, it opens up more doors. You never know what one thing leads to. It always leads to something else, which is also kind of interesting though, too.
The whole performance thing now, the thing also, it's like, I started a punk rock and roll band called the Atomic Toms. And we've been playing around LA. We actually have a show next month. We're opening for Mickey Avalon. I don't know if you remember who that guy was, but
yeah.
So anyway, we're opening for him next month, and that's like fulfilling that kind of like performance. As I'm the singer and the bass player, and oh man, there's nothing like playing on stage and performing.
Right, and then us too, pursuing your own dreams though too. You're doing directing, you're acting, you're being a performer though too on a live stage. So I mean, you're living the life that you always wanted.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I really am. I really am. I really am, man. It's just I just want more of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just bring it on.
Right, because I believe if you would have stuck to the whole law school thing, I think that it would have sucked a lot out of you, though.
One of my dad's friends said that if I continued that and became a lawyer, I would have killed the baby, and the baby being creativity. And by the way, the whole plan was to go to law school and then still navigate back into the industry as a producer or something. The whole thing was that it would have given me. This was the idea that perhaps a law degree would have given me a leg up in the industry, to be more of a player and to make moves. But honestly, the artist in me just like couldn't let that happen.
Couldn't separate the law from the creator. So therefore you're like, well,
I don't know. It's just like, I just constantly need to be making art, this is, I'm a painter as well. And it's like, they're all talking to each other, right? Whether it's music, film, painting. I mean, it's all
right. I definitely understand, man, because
I love switching up the mediums,
Right. For example, with me, I love podcast. To me is my art. I can't sing, but I also like acting. I also like writing my own stuff too. And then also too, alongside all this, I like to create art, and this is what I like to do. And my parents were trying to make me go on ahead and go to heating and air conditioning. I'm like, this is not me. This is not who I am. I like creating art. I like what I'm doing. This is what I want. I knew
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it's but let me go on ahead. This is something else I wanted to talk to you about your film though.
Yeah. Please tell me.
Is this okay? So the other thing I found that was very interesting is the music choice for your party, for the pool party itself.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that this was going to be like, Johnny Dynamite. I thought this was going to be like a rock kind of thing, kind of vibe to it, to where people are dancing. And then it's actually completely different, but not different in a bad way.
Right.
Just totally chill and total mellow. It has
Mhm.
and I really like how you change the atmosphere with it. It has like an atmospheric kind of vibe to it.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I think there was multiple reasons for that. One, it's Henry Mancini, Les Baxter was kind of where I wanted to keep it. It's a comedy, right?
Right.
So I wanted to keep it kind of funny. That for sure. I was gonna say, yeah, the composer Devin Johnson is incredible. He's incredible. I've worked with him a couple times now. This is my second time working with him. I want to keep working with him. I mean, we make all the music ourselves. It's all in house. It's great. I wrote that song at the end of the film, where Danny Dynamite is serenading
Right.
and playing at the party. Yeah, based off of an Elvis song. I would have just used the Elvis song, but the rights would have been very expensive. We probably would have had to wait a long time. So we're just like, you know what? I'll do my take. So I wrote an Elvis-esque song.
I can definitely tell there's like a little bit of Elvis vibes with it though too.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which I really liked. I liked that little homage to Elvis on that point
Mm-hmm.
and everything too. And what was the scouting locations like for you for trying to scout some of the locations?
Right. For the Echo Park stuff, that was pretty easy. My friend, who that whole car chase is based off, he lives in that area. So I go over there all the time, and I know that area. And yeah, so Baxter Street is like the steepest street in LA. And I was like, well, I want it. And some of my references I found on the internet. I actually found it. I wasn't even typing in Baxter Street. I was just like, I don't even know what I was doing when I was writing the treatment to find those images, but I ended up finding that street, and it was Baxter Street. And I was like, well, this is perfect. It's so cinematic. It's so great, and then the house, well, there's also the grocery store, right? Like you got a budget, you got a certain amount of money. You need to shoot in a grocery store, I looked at a couple different grocery stores, but really it was this one in Highland Park that they were able to play ball. They were really cool. They gave it to me for a deal,
And I think that the grocery store actually plays out really well in the film. It feels like more like a character than it does a store itself.
Yeah.
Because it has that retro vibe that you're looking for.
Yeah, that was by accident. That was by accident. That's also kind of how we shot it too, and the coloring.
Right.
We're trying to give, that 70s kind of film look. That studio was actually at my dad's an artist, and that we were able to use the studio in his house. So that was cool. And then Jeff Rudis, who's the executive producer and owner of L'Agence, the fashion brand, and that reminds me of what I wanted to say earlier. But anyway, that's his mansion.
Okay.
So come on. So I mean, what an amazing location, right? I mean, that made the film. So most of it is shot at his house, pretty much. And that's in Beverly Hills. That's an old school home. It's remodeled from the original, of course, but that's an old school Hollywood home. That house.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. But I was going to say earlier about that music. You were asking me about that pool party music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a fashion film. Let's not forget what this film is for. This film is not just like a short film,
Right.
I guess it is a short film, but
it's like larger in scale though.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's like more like larger in scale.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying why I chose that music too was just like, I don't know. It felt like it was right for the fashion, for the brand, that music,
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it fits in with the vibe of the characters though too, like who they are, what they're doing, stuff like that too.
For sure. I mean, I wanted to create a mad world, you know. I would have even gone a little madder. Like I had scenes that I had to cut just because we didn't have time and it wasn't feeding the story necessarily. So when you get to that point where you have to cut scenes, you cut the scenes that don't necessarily feed the story, but it still creates the world. Like I had like totally abstract, kind of crazy, loony stuff where like there's a muscle man or just random beautiful people basically standing in the house just as furniture. I wanted that throughout the whole film. I wanted beautiful models or interesting characters just standing on the lawn, just like watering the plants and stuff, but I took it less in that direction. I wanted it to be more like that, but again, it didn't necessarily serve the story and we didn't have time, but I would have loved to go even wackier,
I would like to see it go all out. You know what I mean? I know that because with the 9 minutes,
if they give me a good budget to make a feature, man, I'll make those, I'll make it as wacky as I possibly can for sure.
I can't wait to see that.
Hell yeah, me too.
But yeah, the end credits scene, I thought that was really clever on that. I was not expecting like an end credits.
Oh, right. The little button at the end. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I'm not going to go into spoil territory on that part or anything.
Yeah.
But I just thought that the chemistry between the main characters were really good. Beverly was relatable. Donnie was hilarious. It was just great.
Thank you.
Welcome. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about as far as your film goes, man.
Amazing.
I really mean it. I watched this film like 4 or 5 times. This movie is rewatchable. As a matter of fact, I'm always talking about rewatchability and everything, and trying to find something new within the film that I'm watching. Yours has a lot of rewatchability with it. It's fun. It's clever. The writing is really good on it. The acting is good, and I'm happy that you're getting a lot of positive buzz from the Mammoth Film Festival and everything too.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got into Beverly Hills Film Festival, so we're excited to share it there as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome. But yeah, that's going to be it as far as this goes, man. Thank you again for allowing me to review your film, to watch your film, and to have you on here. It was a privilege.
Thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to be doing another review coming up this week. As a matter of fact, Rossi and I are going to be doing some movie news coming up. We're also going to do a Surf Ninjas review. We're doing a bunch of stuff here at Movie Lovers Tonight. Just going to stay tuned for wherever you guys get your podcast from. And don't forget to rate us over on iTunes and give us a 5-star review if you choose to do so. Reach out to me at movieloverstonight@gmail.com. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night, and bye-bye.